Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice, and it's by user Spruce Willis 2W. 32 male, my friend 32 female, is extremely hostile about me and my husband 30 male having a child and can't seem to see the problem or why it upsets us. My husband and I had our first child through surrogacy around 7 months ago. It was incredibly difficult to get through the process and get through the red tape, etc. So yes, we were the typical excited parents, but we tried really hard to not spam our Facebook with photos. Seriously, we posted 4 when she was born, and then we just text them to those who want to see, to keep the silly, soppy statuses to a minimum, and generally tried to keep our new baby joy to ourselves, because we too both know how annoying it is to see baby talk all over your newsfeed. Right from the get-go, we were honest with all our friends about having a child, that we would put time aside to spend time with our friends, that we wouldn't lose contact with them, that we wouldn't make our childless friends listen to our baby talk if they didn't want to hear. I love my friends, and my husband loves his friends, and we know that some childless people do not want to hear about kids, so we made sure that was an option for our friends. Every weekend we do something with our childless, single, etc. friends, without our child. My mom very happily looks after our daughter for us on that night and does not begrudge it at all. We try to accommodate everyone, our friends with kids, our friends who don't have kids and don't want to deal with kid talk and so on, and for the most part it works and is really harmonious, except for one friend. We have a mutual friend, A, though she is more my friend. When we announced that our surrogate was pregnant, A grew weirdly hostile. We both know A is not fond of children, so we actively avoided bringing kids up and told her if it made her uncomfortable to hear about our upcoming child, she could let us know and we'd stop. A says children are a sore spot for her because her ex pushed her for kids and she didn't want to have them, so they broke up, and I completely get that. We actively policed our behavior and didn't bring kids up around her, but she's becoming really hostile and downright rude. When we announced to our friends that we were having a child, A audibly scoffed and rolled her eyes and told us to never bring it near her. We brushed this off at first, but she has continued to make mean comments about children and our child, and at one point kept calling her an it constantly. She was also really rude when we announced we were having a girl and said something like, "You're going to just assume its gender? Really?" She's not the type of person to get into this whole don't give kids a gender topic, so it was highly out of character for her, and when I joked and said she was being sarcastic, she told me she was deadly serious and that we were bad parents if we did assume, and the way she said it was aggressive and pretty nasty. When our baby was finally born and we posted the 4 pictures, A put a status saying, "Here we effing go, it starts." Whilst it wasn't directly mentioning us, it was posted within 5 minutes of me posting our pictures and announcing our child's birth. I said nothing though because I did not want to get into an argument. She's made comments on and off now since our child was born, both in person and on Facebook. Recently, a friend asked how we were doing and how our child was on my Facebook wall. It was aimed at me, no one else, and on my wall, so I figured it's fine to talk. It's my Facebook after all. The following exchange happened with A on that post. Keep in mind, A was not tagged in this, so she will have had no notifications about it and could have hidden it in her newsfeed. "You actually willingly got that kid." What? "These male funny, they're clingy, they are parasitic creatures feeding off their parents. They are too small and too fragile and probably break way too easy. And they're loud as hell." I don't really think saying they're parasitic is appropriate, especially on a post that was in no way aimed at you. You could always hide my posts or posts aimed at me by unfollowing me or something. Though I very rarely talk about my child on here, a friend asked how she was doing. You've hijacked the post to say this stuff, which, quite frankly, is kind of in poor taste in a conversation about my child. Do you really hate kids that bad? I don't hate them, I just don't see the appeal. I hate a-hole kids at the store that run into me or act like little crapheads. My child is 7 months, hardly an a-hole kid in a store. You were a baby once too, you know. Winky face. I didn't ask to be a baby. I had no control over that. It's not my fault you have thrown away your lives. You also completely gave up on your brother when you had that kid. I don't get why you think I'm the bad one on here for stating my opinion. The brother I supposedly gave up on was my little brother who was in drug recovery and for a time lived with us. When we announced we wanted to have kids, he actively and willingly moved out and found a new place to stay and is doing really well. This was a move of his own choice. He felt strong enough to move out and said the concept of a crying baby was enough to motivate him into moving. But somehow A thinks we abandoned my brother, who I am in daily contact with and give a lot of support to, and who also works in my little company. At this point, I stopped communicating since it's easy to get feelings hurt over Facebook. I tried calling her, and then when she didn't answer, I texted her. Hi, what's going on? You seem unusually mad about my child. Are you okay? I'm fine. It's not my fault you misconstrue my words to mean I'm mad. It seemed like you were angry about us having a child. We've tried to keep my child out of your life, but you chose to comment on that status. I genuinely do not understand why you're making a big deal out of this. I was not mad. You're reading way too into it and you're being overly sensitive. Your comments were insensitive. I do not see how they were. I was stating a fact. What's the best thing to do here? We've been friends since we were about 15 and I don't want to lose such a long and wonderful friendship over this. But I feel like at any moment she's going to say, it's me or the baby. And we have to pick, which is ridiculous. Are my husband and I really being overly sensitive? I feel like we've really tried hard to accommodate everyone and even stretched ourselves a little thin at times to do so. And A just cannot seem to see a problem with her behavior. If I do cut off the friendship, then it causes a lot of trouble in our friendship circle and family, as this friend is a close family friend to boot, and I'd loathe causing trouble for so many people. Has anyone else had a friend become hostile over the birth of a child? I get that she may feel she's losing her friend to a baby, but I've tried so hard to keep everything as it was, despite that being very hard to do so with a child in our life. Is there anything I can do to ease the tension, or should I stop pandering to her at this point? She blames anything like this on her ex wanting to push kids on her, but I just feel that's a bit of an excuse at this point. Wow, OP, I'm sorry your friend is acting like a child herself. Honestly, I've never been in this type of situation because my friends are pretty cool about my kids. They love them a lot. Even the child-free ones, who actually and funnily enough are the ones that ask about my kids the most. It sounds to me like your friend definitely has issues against kids. I don't want to pin it on her ex pushing it, but she's the one that keeps bringing that up. Maybe she's still angry about the divorce or something and she blames it on kids when it was actually their incompatibility regarding what they wanted in the future. And maybe she's having a hard time dealing with that deal breaker. In any case, I believe you are being more than accommodating and she's the one choosing to make an issue of this. So maybe you need to sit down with your friend and talk openly about everything. And if she still has an issue with your child, then maybe you need to go low contact for a while. Of course it sucks to lose a friend, but at this point, she's not behaving like a friend. And what do you guys think? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes, or what kind of advice would you give him? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Anaki Kills says, you already sound super worried about talking about your kid too much, which is honestly weird, and I wonder if it's because of having friends like A. Yes, some parents over-talk about their kids, but it's really only a problem when they've got nothing else left to converse about with childless friends. I feel like keeping her around has a lot more negative effects on you and hubby than you realize. She is draining you of happiness, and that's not what friends are for. You have no obligation to stay friends with someone just because you met her so many years ago. She is not a friend to you. She is nothing positive, it sounds. Drop her. You won't be the last to do so. And Dopey responds, we're aware of the attitudes of a lot of our child-free friends, and we do see their statuses about how annoying they think kids are and sometimes see how condescending they are about parents, and it did make us very weary and anxious. We didn't want to become one of those parents who jump into a conversation with, well, our child, or similar, or seem like we were now completely closed off to our friends. We definitely still have plenty in common with our child-free friends. For example, we went to a concert with them in August while my mom looked after the baby, and I really like playing online games and will do so in the evenings once we've put the baby to bed and she's settled. Honestly, our child doesn't even come up unless someone asks us how she is. Smiley face. The Faux Hammer says, I'm child-free, and honestly, you're making an amazing effort to accommodate her and your other friends, one that almost everyone would appreciate. She just happens to have her head too far up her own misery to see how kind you're being. Just ignore the behavior. She wants attention. It's basically practice for your toddler years. Let her have her tantrums and realize nobody cares, then continue on with life. If she can't be nice, inform her that she's hurting you and you're going to stop the conversation, but you can continue when she's feeling better. And OP responds, that's a really good point about toddler years. I sense we're going to have some stubborn moments and a fair few tantrums. We've decided we're going to talk to A today about things and how we're going to move forward with it all. Wheatgrass says, I bet she thought she would get to be a child-hating a-hole and her gay BFF would never forsake her and have a kid and she would always have someone on her side. Surprise, bitch! 2 dad families are a thing. Dump the mother effer already. I have mad respect for every single person who chooses to be child-free, but if they come into my space and talk crap about my kid, I will show them just how mad my respect can get. Also, she is showing major narcissistic signs. She keeps making your kid about her. For being anti-child, she sure does insert herself in child-centered conversations all the goddamn time. And OP responds, I think she did. If I'm perfectly honest, she very much sees me as some kind of, I don't want to say father figure at times, but she kinda does. She'd come to me with problems and act like I was her dad or something. It was only in the past few years or so, and my husband brought it up last night, that he noticed her dynamic changed with me, where I became more of this parental figure. I imagined that somewhere deep down, if this truly is the case, she feels like I've betrayed or abandoned her. Hell no, I have a baby, and she's adorable, and it ain't this friend. I do think she is a bit of a narcissist, to be honest. She does tend to make a lot of things about herself, and a lot of the time, people have to reassure her she's good and nice. It seems to have all occurred after this ex split up with her. Opie's edit. My husband and I have had a discussion and we've decided we're going to tell her how she makes us feel about it all. Everyone is right. My child does not deserve to be punished simply for existing. We have tried to accommodate people because a lot of our childless friends are very, very vocal about how much they don't want kids or like them that much. So we wanted to ensure they knew we wouldn't encroach on their child-free life by shoving our baby in their faces. But, as has been rightfully pointed out to us, we're bending over backwards for people who are not making as much effort. We'd never put friends before our child. She comes first, and plenty of friends are A-okay with that. We're going to be a lot firmer about the whole thing with people, and we're going to stop censoring ourselves online. If people don't like it and really find it that offensive to see pictures of our kid, then they can remove themselves, and they're not good friends if that's the case. Again, Redditors are right. Why would we or should we tolerate people like that and allow people who dislike our child be involved with her? A's ex was incredibly pushy about wanting kids as soon as possible, and A didn't like this. We both feel, more so now after people here have brought it up, that A is taking out her hatred of her ex and his whole "I want kids now" on us. We both feel she now resents kids because of her ex, and we're in the firing range as some of her closest friends. It's not an excuse, and in my opinion, I think she needs to talk to a therapist about it because it seems quite deeply rooted. We're meeting with A this afternoon, and we're bringing our daughter with us, and A can either deal or leave. We're going to talk to her over lunch, so it's in public, and she can't start having a huge freak out at us. Not unless she wants to look utterly ridiculous, of course. We're also going to have a talk with a few other friends about how we've tried to basically make our child invisible in order to try and save people's feelings when we should have been enjoying having our daughter and posting about her to friends and family on social media. Instead, we kept it all hush-hush as if we were ashamed, and that is one thing we are not. We are not and never will be ashamed of our child. We adore her and want what's best for her so that she grows up in a loving, stable environment with people who love and support her. We've decided we're going to pretty much tell A this, and that if she cannot handle us having a child and a child being in our life, then she needs to exit because our child will not be. Alright OP, so if you want to know how that lunch went, then stick with me because that update's coming right now. Husband and I met with A and brought our daughter along too, and since the meeting got cut short, I figured I'd update. We decided to meet with A in a public place, just to avoid any shouting or yelling that might ensue. We kind of jumped in, guns blazing, and asked her what the problem was. I can't remember the full question, but I asked her something like, "You're being ridiculously hostile towards us and our child. Why? It hurts us, it hurts me, and it makes me not want to be around you anymore." A pretty much denied that anything was going on. She said we were paranoid, sensitive, looking too much into it, etc. We kind of went round in circles, and when I brought up her ex and said she seemed to have gone downhill since they broke up, she told me that her ex was maybe obsessed. I knew this already. The guy was really broody and utterly besotted with A. And it made her hate kids, and she hated the whole idea of children. I told her I knew, but she was pretty damn nasty to my child and I didn't like it. I also brought up something that my husband pointed out to me last night, which was that A has, for about 2 years or so now, treated me more like a father figure and less like a friend, something I never really noticed until it was pointed out. She denied this also. She then started to backpedal and say how awful she is and how she was scum, etc. She has a tendency to start insulting herself if someone points out her bad behavior so that the confrontation drops and it turns into consoling her. She's always done this and I find it weirdly manipulative. Anyway, we talked some more to her and eventually she got onto the subject of how she felt I was abandoning her, that I'd put my husband and child before her. I pointed out that she has a boyfriend. More to the point, she is engaged and her behavior is weird. Everyone puts their significant other first, and especially their child. She put her own fiancé first, so I figured she'd know this. Of course, she denied this. Things got a little heated, and she ended up admitting she looked at me as a father figure more than a friend. I admit, I have always been seen as more sensible than the rest of our friends, but one who organized things, fixed problems, looked after people when they were drunk, etc. And people did joke I was the dad of the group. Apparently, she's taken it in an almost literal sense, and it was now no longer a friendship, but more me being a parental figure in her life, even though we're the same age. She said she thought she was in love with me, but realized she wanted more of a father figure, and that's what she saw in me, and she was mad to be losing that. I pointed out that she never had that in the first place, because I'm not her dad, and that it sounded like she had some daddy issues she needed to address. There's always been a rumor that her dad was an alcoholic, even when we were kids, and I know her parents used to argue a lot, so I imagine it stems from there. I suggested she talk to someone professionally because she sounded extremely jealous, and she admitted that she was, and this was her way of dealing with it, by being an a-hole. We were perfectly ready to start coming to a solution, until she added on, "But you made me act like this to get your attention. I had no choice." This was enough to piss off my husband, and we basically told her that no one made her act like anything, that she's a grown-ass woman and I'm not her father in any capacity. Husband and I both agreed and told her we'd be taking a step back from her and that we didn't want her around our daughter, and, to be perfectly honest, I do not trust her around our daughter now. If she's been this malicious to us, it makes me very nervous to imagine her in a situation where she had access to our child in any way. I told A this and that I'd be slowing down the contact with her because the whole looking at me as a father figure made me highly uncomfortable. At this point, she also admitted she was jealous of my husband because he'd taken her place. We've decided to remove her from our social media, and I've also informed the family of what had been going on and how she's been such a bitch about the whole thing. I'm putting her at arm's length and am no longer going to contact her. We've also organized a meetup this weekend in our home with our other friends so they can properly spend some real time with us and our daughter. Totally optional, but we basically told our child-free friends in mass that if they love us, then they'll come to love our child too, and that gives them a chance to spend time with her and us. If they decide F that, then we've agreed we'll just let the friendship do as it will, and see each other when we see each other, but we're no longer censoring ourselves so much. We're not going to be immediately spamming our friends and social media with masses of baby photos, but we did put a few on from our day out today when we took her to the park. Winky face. We've told people to expect more photos and baby talk, and if they don't like it, well, we've given them 7 months of baby freeness, and now we'd like to actually act like parents and share what we do to a point. We won't be going mad, but we're not going to censor mentioning her as we have been. We still want to give people space. We had a few people remove us, a few we didn't expect, which hurt. But I guess if they can't deal with our child, then that is their choice. It's a case of love us, love, or at least tolerate our child now, not love us, vaguely acknowledge she who must not be named. So thank you all for taking the time to comment, give advice and give support. It truly has helped, and you've all helped make things so much better for me, my husband, and our daughter. Thank you truly. Well, OP, I'm sorry you've lost or apparently have lost some friendships regarding tolerating your daughter, but you're right, your kid comes first and it is their choice. So that's that. Thanks so much for sharing, and all the best to you, your husband, and your daughter. Take care, OP. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.